Crop Talk on Market Journal is supported by Nebraska's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Finally, today would not be a field day without a bit of discussion when it comes to crop diseases. So joining us now here at the South Central Ag Lab is Tamra Jackson-Ziems, fresh off your presentation talking about corn diseases. Hot one right now. A lot of people want to know about tar spot. What are you seeing out in the fields, Tamra?
Well, you know, tar spot's been confirmed in Nebraska now, and in fact in 31 counties in the extreme eastern part of the state. We do expect that to continue to move west further into the state. And so on that western fringe, you know, it's as far west as Knox and Merritt County. We'll continue to see that move west as temperatures and weather conditions are favorable. It likes the cool, wet conditions. That includes under our pivots. And so right now we're not seeing a lot except in the extreme southeast corner down in that Richardson County area. There's quite a bit in some places.
What can we do about it this time of year? That's always the big question, right?
That's harder. So at this point, you know, when you see it during the season, fungicides, foliar fungicides are the only thing we can do to react to this disease. But the good news is, based on data from our colleagues east of us, they know that there's a number of products that do a very good job managing tar spot, and especially those products that have 2 or 3 active ingredients from different classes or modes of action. They can do a very good job controlling it, especially if applied at VT and later. R2 also up to that point we know can be effective. But in most cases, a single application is going to be enough. And most people early in this disease epidemic, they aren't going to need a fungicide application. Mainly, we want to document where it's at in the state to make sure people know about it and how to identify it. And so if you're out in the cornfield and you see a black dot on a leaf, try to rub it off, because this fungus won't rub off. Most things that cause black dots are insect frass, for instance, and a few other things. And so if they need help, I hope they'll send samples to our diagnostic clinic or ask someone in extension to help them.
Yeah, always a great resource out there. I'm particularly excited out here at the field day. You get to show people what's happening in the fields. You brought a couple examples of what's happening across Nebraska. What do you have for us today?
Well, we did. There's always something going on in the fields, and we always have some diseases out there. And so this time of year, especially here this year, we're seeing a lot of bacterial leaf streak, for instance. And that's not a new disease for us, but this year seems to be worse in some fields, especially irrigated fields. And so bacterial leaf streak is one we've been watching since about 2016. And so those irregular lesions are wavy, and if you hold them up to the sun and backlight them, you might notice it might have a yellow discoloration. And they start at the bottom of the plant, usually working their way up. But often after a thunderstorm, you'll see a lot of small lesions suddenly show up in the upper canopy. On some hybrids, they look like gray leaf spot, though, and that's caused by a fungus that can be controlled by a fungicide. And so that's why it's important we know how to tell them apart. And so compare the rectangles of gray leaf spot to the wavy lesions of bacterial leaf streak.
Well, let's go back to in time as we bring up your second sample. 1969 was the year Dawson County, Nebraska, Goss's wilt is discovered.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit about that.
There's a lot of history here in Nebraska and bacterial diseases, but you know, this year we are seeing a little bit of Goss's wilt too, or Goss's bacterial blight. And these are in fields like many people have had that have been impacted by hail this year. Hail or high winds or sandblasting, any kind of wounding will predispose plants to infection with this bacterium. And so looking for freckles on these lesions, and that's probably the biggest thing to look for. And they're large and wavy and often near the edges or the damage. So that's something to make sure and keep selecting resistant hybrids for in the future.
All right, well, I'm going to give you the final word this week. What else are you seeing out in the fields you want our viewers to be aware of today?
Well, we want to make sure as we get into the later part of this season, things will get worse as the conditions become more humid. Watch out for those diseases. Send samples to the diagnostic clinic to get help on them. And please help us document where you're seeing tar spot in the state, going to the corn.ipmpipe website and CropWatch for more information.
We'll, of course, give the CropWatch website again, but what was that other website you want people to be aware of?
So the Corn IPM Pipe website is where we track not only tar spot and southern rust, but some other diseases. It's a great resource. And also the Crop Protection Network is a great place to go for more information.
Good stuff. Tamra, great to have you here in person at the field day. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for your interview, and good luck to everybody in the field.
It is our pleasure, and beautiful day out here at the South Central Ag Lab as we do Market Journal out here in the field. Well, I want to remind our viewers, we mentioned at the top of the show, if you're interested in learning more, keeping up with all the things happening out in the field, the best website to do so, to bookmark, is cropwatch.unl.edu.